In 216 BC, a Carthaginian general named Hannibal Barca dealt the death blow to the largest Roman army history had ever seen, with an army half as large. The Battle of Cannae was a devastating defeat and a shock to the proud Romans, which caused Capua, the second largest city on the Italian peninsula, to defect to Hannibal. So, how did he do it? First, some context. The Second Punic War started in 218 BC, the year after Hannibal besieged and captured Rome's ally Saguntum in today's Spain. The Romans expected a quick victory, but, long story short, Hannibal crossed the Alps into Italy and won battle after battle until the Romans had enough. They saw his tactics as dishonorable and conjured a plan to defeat one of history's greatest generals. Throw men at him. 80,000 men, to be exact. Today, this doesn't sound that big, but in ancient times, this was absolutely massive. How could Hannibal possibly defeat this when he only had 40,000 men, many of which weren't even Carthaginian? Here's how. Hannibal's army was composed of many different peoples: Gauls, Spaniards, Celts, Balearic slingers, Numidian cavalry, Carthaginians, and Libyan infantry. In fact, his cavalry was far superior than that of the Romans, and he had thousands more. The Romans knew this and chose a narrow battlefield with no room for flanking. Hannibal's genius still shone through, though, as he fought facing north, so that the seasonal dust storms were to his back. This control of the environment is part of what made him so legendary. Let's take a look at the battlefield. Up here, we have the deep Roman maniples with about 3,600 allied cavalry, led by the consul Varro on their left flank, faced by 3,500 Numidian cavalry, and 2,400 Roman cavalry, led by Paulus, on their right, faced by 6,500 heavy cavalry. The Roman plan was to ram straight through Hannibal's much thinner line with their far superior numbers. However, Hannibal had a trick up his sleeve. He positioned his army as an outward bulge with his weakest soldiers in the exposed center. Meanwhile, his elite Libyan infantry faced inward on each side. As the huge Roman weight attacked, they hit Hannibal's weakest troops first and forced the bulge to turn inwards. Hannibal himself was positioned in the center to keep his troops fighting. The cavalry battle going on at the same time favored the Carthaginians. On Hannibal's left, his heavy cavalry defeated the Romans and killed one of two consuls, Paulus. Then, the heavy cavalry showed up behind Varro, the other consul, and his cavalry, who promptly ran away. The Carthaginian cavalry gave chase. Hannibal's infantry was still being pushed back, though. The inward bulge had to retreat against the giant Roman army, in which organization began to break down. They felt that they were winning and wanted to massacre the fleeing Carthaginians. It was right then that Hannibal's elite Libyan infantry, who had seen no fighting yet, smashed into their flanks. Because they were wearing Roman armor taken from other battles, the Romans were probably very confused. Then, Hannibal's center turned and started fighting back right as his cavalry returned and blocked off the Romans' rear. They were completely surrounded, and so began the massacre. An estimated 30,000 gallons of blood and 70,000 Roman dead covered the battlefield after hours of slaughter. Many Roman soldiers couldn't even raise their arms to fight back. Their own superiority had been used against them. Cannae was Hannibal's masterpiece.